The time is 6:33. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Planning and Land Use Committee meeting. My name is Keith Pitts. I'm your chair. And at this time, Rosalie, can we do roll call?
Madge will do roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, Madge. I keep forgetting. I think she needs to be promoted to panel. If we lose Miguel, I can't put them on panel.
What was that?
I need Madge and Martin Porter moved to panel.
Okay, sorry about that. All right.
Okay, go ahead, Madge. Roll call.
Okay, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you for that. I'm gonna take roll call. So Keith Pitts,
Present.
Rosalie Preston,
Present.
Madge Nixon, present. Craig Kusanowski,
Present.
Jack Patel, Janisha Robinson, Lois Sato, Micah Silver,
Present. Present.
and Angela Springs. Okay,
We should have 5 for quorum.
Yes.
Moving to the next item on the agenda, general public comments on non-agenda items that are within the neighborhood council's jurisdiction. Those that are on your cell phones, you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Each speaker, please be mindful that you have 2 minutes to speak. And at this time, I don't see any hands raised. We will move right along to the next item on the agenda. Rosalie, we have Pamela Thornton that would need to move up. So we're going to alter the agenda to move Pamela up before the minute.
Okay.
I'd like to introduce to you guys our new council district 15 planning director. Her name is Pamela Thornton. Go ahead, Pamela. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Pamela Thornton. I am new to the council district, serving as the planning director. So it's an honor and a privilege to come before you this evening. I live in the district, specifically Athens on the Hill. I served on the neighborhood council for 7 years. And also I chaired the Planning and Land Use Committee. So this is like coming home to family. So thank you for having me. So I just wanted to briefly go over just high level what my role is and how I can assist. So I am now assigned to land use and development, major projects, housing and affordable housing projects, communication with HACLA, the community plan updates, specific plans, the historic preservation overlay zones or HPOZ, CEQA and NEPA oversight. I will also be the representative for our council district for planning commission and zoning administrator hearings and engage with all city departments as needed, in addition to weighing in on planning policy. throughout the district. So under this particular council district's administration, what was formerly known as Council District 15 is referred to as the 1-5. One district representing 5 unique communities within the jurisdiction. So I'm here to serve you and to collaborate and partner with you. The one thing that I would like to stress is for the PLU committee to continue to identify the things that you have a vision for within the district. I know you're going to have a presentation this evening from Christopher Peanut also, so I won't get into that part of the presentation because it probably is something that he's going to cover. But it's important for us to be able to know that the vision that all of you discussed in your strategic planning meetings are coming to life and are reflected in the Harbor Gateway Community Plan update. So make sure that any of the documents that you previously had submitted to the previous administration, that you forward that information to me so that I know what you've already communicated, number one. Number two, the city planning staff and I and other staff members within the 1-5 will be meeting, and we will be going over the policy draft documents. And I want to make sure once we get to Harbor Gateway that your vision is noted, and that if there's any inconsistencies that we can talk through it and come to some resolution before the document is finalized. So I just wanted to stress that. Are there any questions for me?
Please raise your hand if you have a question for Pamela, please. Okay, I see there are none. I thank you so much, Pamela, for your presentation. And
You're
you
welcome.
will be hearing from us from Harbor Gateway North.
Very good. Please do reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. Miguel, I believe Angela's on. She's the Galaxy 9. Moving right along to the next item on the agenda, which now is item 3, approval of the minutes from December 15th, 2022. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Rosalie makes the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Craig. Roll call, Madge?
Yes, Keith Pitts,
Yes.
Rosalie Preston,
Yes,
Madge Nixon, yes, Craig Kusunoki,
Yes.
and Micah Silver.
Yes.
and
Okay.
Angela's here now too.
Oh,
Angela's here.
excellent. Angela Springs.
She's a yes. She has her hand up.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the Harbor Gateway Community Plan. We have a special presentation by Christopher Pena. Miguel, we would need to allow him to share screen. He's going to give an update and call for stakeholders to call in for more information and comment. Go ahead, Christopher. Miguel, can you give him access to share screen?
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has co-host ability, so he
Okay,
can
great.
screen share.
I'll go do that right now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? it's a pleasure to see a couple of new faces. There's some familiar faces I recognize. The reason I wanted to say hi again was I know that there's some new members to the neighborhood council, and late last fall in November, we had some office hours regarding some of our new zoning that's been a part of the community plan update. And we received a couple of office hours. I emailed a couple of folks, but I wanted to make sure that I was in communication with everyone. So I reached out to Rosalie and Keith. If I could just make a quick provide a quick update to where we are in the plan, and just confirm that we are always and actively taking feedback on the plan. My virtual office is always open. I know I've had a lot of conversations with some of the long outstanding Pluck members, and we've even had our special Pluck committee meetings that we had in 2019 and 2020, where we went over the land use, the general plan land uses. And everybody can see my my screen with the timeline, right? Just can someone confirm that for me, please?
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. So obviously, for those who weren't here in 2018, we did start off the project in 2018, collected data, worked with the neighborhood councils, some of the various CBOs to gather data on what the issues and opportunities were. And in May of 2019, we had our concepts, which were where we identified our opportunity areas. And since then, we obviously with the pandemic, we released our general plan land use maps with our recommendations, and we started working on our draft EIR. So currently right now, about last year too as well, forgive me, I forgot, we released 2 iterations of our policy document. One was just a text version, and then recently we released a full illustrative version. And I think we received a lengthy letter from this neighborhood council in regards to the feedback. And I think it was for the most part pretty positive in regards to some of the policy we received. But I wanted to update you to where we are now and what we're doing, and and where and when we are going to have outreach and specific outreach, and what those milestones are going to be. So currently right now, since we released that policy document that the neighborhood council provided feedback on, we've started developing our zones, and we haven't released those yet. And these are still proposed zones, and we anticipate on releasing those zones probably in the next month or two, virtually. And that's where you're going to be able to go to our story map, and you'll be able to click on each parcel and see what the proposed zone is, how tall, what if the density is changing or staying the same. And I think for the most part, a lot of Harbor Gateway is staying the same outside of our opportunity areas and some of our industrial transition areas. So that's going to be coming up in the next probably month or two. And subsequent to that, we are going to have one-on-one office hours where we are explaining in detail if needed, or just if somebody wants to speak to me one-on-one, if there's a question about a specific parcel, or if something isn't making sense, what those office hours are intended for. So we anticipate on doing that within the next 6 to 8 weeks. So I wanted to put that on everyone's radar, because I think the last time we had office hours, we had about 20 people. And I know it was during a harder time, during the end of the year, it's a little bit more difficult to get folks out. So I wanted to make sure I put that on everyone's radar, because, it is critical that we get your feedback on, any proposed zoning, and as we move the project through. And that's really it for today, but happy to answer any questions there may be from the council.
Okay, are there any questions? Please raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, well, I thank you, Christopher, for your report. And you will be hearing once again from the planning and land use. We're very active And thank you so much, and it was a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's any special events that the committee could think of that, it may be important for myself or my colleagues to attend, please don't hesitate to let me know. I think it's we're looking forward to building upon this established relationship.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, moving on to item number 5. The person that's up next, I have known personally for quite some time. I've witnessed his growth in the ministry. I've witnessed his growth in teaching. I've witnessed his growth as a father and a leader. I really respect and admire this person. And next up is Pastor Martin Porter of A.K. Quinn AME Church and of Logos Faith Development Corporation. He's here to discuss the methods of creating additional multifamily units within the Harbor Gateway North. It's all yours, Reverend Martin.
Oh, thanks, Brother Keith. And all of the respect and love that Brother Pitts has extended to me, I extend right back to him. He has made an important difference in my life and my wife's life as a supporter and a friend and a really dear brother. So there isn't enough good I could say. And if we were in a room together, I'd be uncontainable. But nonetheless, my name is Pastor Martin, and I'm the managing partner of Logos Faith Development, short for Logos Development. And our focus is forming partnerships as a development company, largely with churches, but not only with churches. Our model is that the landowner does not sell their property, but that they maintain ownership of their properties, especially commercial properties. And we partnered with them alongside with our funding partners to create much needed housing. And commercial components as well. So much needed housing and commercial components. We have now about 8 projects. We're actively building on Western Avenue, on Broadway, on Central Avenue, on 55th Street. Our projects are typically about 50 units of affordable housing with a commercial component. Again, the land partner maintains 100% ownership. And for the purpose of this sort of presentation, I'll talk about churches because there's churches everywhere. So the idea is that we work with a church, we identify the kind of project that should be built on the church, and then we work with architects, engineers, and all the other third parties to put together a plan that's workable. And then we seek a funding partner in partnership with the church. So the church forms an economic development corporation or community development corporation. And then we go seek both private and public funding. Well, both private and public funding that isn't tax credits or isn't through the schematic of using dollars from city departments, et cetera. And I'll explain why in a second. So as an example of that, we partnered with Grant Housing Economic Development Corporation. And last week, we just won a $4 million grant from the housing, from HUD, the housing department, the federal government, as it relates to green technologies and being able to really come up with a plan for Central and 103rd Street. This was something we worked on for quite a while. But then the funding that we're bringing our former community redevelopment agency dollars, which go through banks. And so those become private dollars. And that allows us to build with fewer restrictions than if we were using public dollars. Allows us to build a little less expensively and allows us to leverage more technology and more options than if we were going with just tax credit dollars. But what all of that means for you is that in your area, you have a lot of churches. Well, in every area, there's a lot of churches. And so as a council and as a committee looking at how do we make a change, let's say in the Harbor Gateway area, Harbor community area, it would be, regardless of which development partners you end up talking to and going with, identifying your churches and kind of creating an ecosystem to see which of those churches have the zoning that would be commensurate with what you're trying to create, what your vision is for your area. So for example, churches on large commercial strips, churches in C2 zoning, R4 zoning, where whatever direction you're trying to go in, whether it be high density or more schools, you have a lot of churches that have very few members, very few folks sitting in the pews with depleted incomes, depleted tithes and offerings, where you can offer them a way forward to continue to own their land and making a huge difference in the community like they always have. And at the same time, use a portion of that land to create much needed housing and much needed commercial space, commercial and nonprofit space, for example. And that's what Logos Faith Development does. We work with council offices, the planning department very closely. We work with local stakeholders, churches to come up with win-win solutions. And then we then partner with other builders to build those solutions and bring in our funding partners to be able to complete what might be unique about us. And then I'll really just turn this back over to Brother Pitts, is our deep relationships with council offices, planning department, our capacity to talk to community stakeholders and not just speak real estate development language, but speak church language and speak human language, what the folks need, what their vision is, and to be able to articulate that through planning. And then finally, to actually be able to fund it and build it. And what I'd be happy to do as we go down the line is through Brother Pitts, take anybody on a field trip through, as it relates to this group that would like to see a couple of our projects and meet some of our community stakeholders and see what it is that we do. But bottom line is we could be a resource and a tool for you to review your real estate in general. And then more specifically, if you were identifying churches and nonprofit partners to work with, we can help you work through that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Martin. Are there any questions? Go ahead, Rosalie.
So are you proactive in looking up, lists of churches and, studying their properties and then writing a letter at all? Because we do have a lot of very small churches, for example, on Main Street and in our internal districts 7 and 8. Which,
so as Brother Pitts probably knows, we do no outbound marketing. So what it would be, for example, the way it would work with Logos is, Rosalie, it would be you folks say, look, we'd like Logos to look at some of the churches or some of the catchment areas that we're looking at, and then we would do a study for you. So we have the technology and the capacity to pull up every church in any given area, let's say, or every gas station, guys, or any number of different clusters of landowners that sometimes have been overlooked as it relates to being able to put something forward of value. And then we could put together a study for you of what's possible, what the zoning is, where you need to go, and that kind of stuff. But no, we don't create an internal list unless it's requested.
Reverend Martin, there is one location that is like I explained to you before, it's a real hot button topic.
Yes.
The property that's on Vermont and Redondo Beach Boulevard. Is that property a possibility that's something that like you do that could be arranged to build something like housing with business underneath?
Now, so was the ownership of that property private? Is it owned by the city?
Oh, it's private, I believe. Correct
Okay.
me if I'm wrong, Rosalie.
no, it's private, under an LDT, I believe it's listed. Yeah, it's, yeah.
All right. So what I will do, Brother Pitts, is I will take a look at that with the team shortly, and I'll send you an email on what's possible. And then you guys can kind of kick that around. Well, what we'll certainly do is we'll look at it from the perspective of what's possible as it relates to zoning, and then what would be beneficial for the community. Now, what I would say is, if your council were to articulate a vision around that, then we could let you know whether that vision syncs with zoning laws and financial capacity.
Okay. So that could be something that we can work on in the very near future. Go ahead, Micah.
I'm looking at your website and I'm trying to, I wonder, could you tell me a little bit about this sustainability grant competition and what your relationship to Gensler is?
Yeah, Roger Gensler, I believe he's one of the directors, is a friend. And we work really closely with SOLA and United Way, Jason Rippey, United Way and SOLA, and other stakeholders for a project in Compton that really is an aspirational project, Micah. It was really, this is, I think it's Trinity Baptist Church in Compton. It's the largest one, the larger church landowners in Compton near City Hall, with a piece of land big enough to be able to envision. I think you're talking about Edison, the Edison grant, to be able to envision what would it be like if we were to deploy green technologies in a setting that was a medium density setting that included properties, affordable homes for sale, affordable homes for rent, and a resiliency center. And the resiliency center would be a community center where folks would be able to go to be able to gain skills, have tools, come out of the heat during the summertime. And so the idea was to create a community hub, a community center that included housing, included only affordable housing of every type. So housing for sale for families that have lived in the community for generations, affordable housing for rent, that was voucher-based and also non-voucher based. And I believe it also included student housing. And the wraparound concept with Logos, SOLA, and Gensler was that we would prove that green technologies could actually be deployed there to make the project more efficient and more community friendly. And that was the grant we won from Edison to go through a workaround process to see if that was possible.
Amazing. And so, like, I guess what I'm just trying to understand from the website and what you're saying is, like, your company is looking at land that is owned as a church asset, so basically like a nonprofit asset, and transforming that into something which is then value add for the landowner because they continue to own their land, but then
Yes,
it
sir.
becomes a secondary owner of the building. And so you become kind of investment partners with whatever that organization is.
That's right, Mike.
That's sort of the okay.
Yeah.
And then do you have the, like, are you partnering with this, like, how do the designs, obviously Gensler is a design firm, but like how in other situations are you partnering with architects? Do you have your own in-house design team? What do you like? How do you think about it?
And so Gensler's a great company, and they're certainly not the only one, right, Micah? So all third parties. So our job is to be the hub and the wheel. We bring together the architects, the engineers, the funders, the community stakeholders, the city departments, et cetera. And so, no, look, as an example, there are projects that we've worked on where very much the architect, literally, I mean, I'm thinking about one right now, Mr. Jones, has come from the church pew or has come from the community, and they've helped us to create the vision. So we're really hiring the architects, engineers, all the other third-party consultants, and we don't have one team that we work with. This was a very specific instance with Gensler, where we're actually just going after that grant to prove a concept. Yeah.
Understood. Great. So what we could do proactively is identify what we perceive to be some opportunities in this area. You have the analytics to kind of assist in identifying which of those might actually be viable based on however you're doing.
Yeah, that's
your
right.
metrics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well, that
as
sounds like
a-
a wonderful offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Micah. And as a council, you could create some benchmarks around that. We want to identify some pieces of property. We want really folks from the community to be stakeholders. We want local architects. You know, you can articulate the vision and then Logos can take the ball and go, well, this is what you could do with this property, A, B, and C, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. Yeah, I have some ideas for you. So
Excellent.
I'll start thinking about it.
Excellent.
Awesome. Are there any other questions for Reverend Martin? Okay, if not, thank you, Reverend Martin, so much. I'm
You're
gonna
welcome.
sneak
First
up on
Lady
you.
Anita says, hi, Brother Keith, and we love you.
I'm gonna sneak up on you guys at 8K.
Okay.
I'm gonna come visit.
All right. That's good. God bless
All right,
everyone. Have a good night.
you too. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next item on the agenda are the reports on other planning and land use issues. A,
Keith, I just want you to know that Janisha is here. She needs to be.
okay, sorry about that. I'm not a host. Miguel, can you?
I think he did move
He
her
just
now.
did. Okay, great. All right. Are there any reports? Number 7A, update on demolition notification, including new duplexes and ADUs.
So we included the current February listing with our agenda and draft minutes. There's only been a few since the fall, so the pace of the applications has slowed down on the duplexes, fortunately.
Yeah.
But that's an issue we need to raise with the new planning director, Pamela Thornton, because she was aware of the issue when she was our Planning and Land Use Committee chair previously. And we should resend the 2 letters we've sent to Council District 15 in the past. We should resend them to her attention, along with our previous letter on the Harbor Gateway Community Plan update.
Okay, noted. Item B, 7B, construction of a 3-story building with 88% of, is that 88% or 100%, Rosalie? Affordable apartments?
So it's
Yeah.
88 apartments.
Apartments, oh, okay, 88 apartments, 100%. 100% affordable at 11936 South Central Avenue in District 8 by Oak Road Capital. He did not return our emails in regards to making a presentation today. And I don't even believe he responded at all. So we're still going to push and see if we can get him to come do a presentation. Go ahead, Rosalie.
Yes. So I think we mentioned previously, this would be the 3rd such large apartment building at the intersection of 120th and Central Avenue. And this would be on the northeast corner. None of the buildings has any ground floor retail or commercial. So that was something that was good to hear from Pastor Porter, that their developments do include that, because that's an area where there's just so little commercial opportunity, and the building, you know, all the new apartment buildings are built with very little parking to discourage the residents from having cars, but whereas they might be able to get to public transportation because the sea line does run over crosses over Central Avenue, but there's no station there. However, the walkability to any type of food resource or neighborhood services is just very minimal in that area. So as we did with our letter on the solar impact project at Imperial and Main Street, we would probably want to comment on that for this particular building.
Absolutely. Moving right along to item number 7C, Weingart Willows, former Sea Rock Inn at 14032 South Vermont Avenue. We have in the minutes that they were, in the agenda that they were going to meet with us on Thursday, the 27th at our meeting. However, I believe we just received notification that they won't be prepared until our May Planning and Land Use Committee meeting. So let's go ahead and move right along. Is there any announcement?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I just wanted to comment on the Weingart Willows. That issue did come up at the first town hall with our council member, Tim McCosker. A couple who live fairly close to that location were, particularly the husband was very concerned. And so we thought we would try to reach out to the Weingart Center, who is, they will be providing the social support services once the project opens up. And also LA County Housing, who purchased the property, will also be at the presentation. From what we understand, there won't be much. The current Sea Rock Inn is one of those open plan motels from the past and has a lot of open space in front of all the units. It's a 2-story building. There is a swimming pool. There also is a cell phone tower on the site, which our neighborhood council was involved in trying to get designed in a more attractive manner in the past. From what the county housing told me, they are planning really just to convert each unit to have a small kitchenette. And on one of the websites that I looked at, it said that the plan would be to rent to families and also individuals who'd previously experienced homelessness. So at our meeting, when they are able to present, they originally were going to be able to come in April, but it sounds like another project has priority for their presentation, which I have a feeling is one of the ones down in Harbor Gateway South. So they have a conflict on that night. So at this point, it'll be the fourth Thursday in May, and that will be an in-person meeting at the building where we have our office. And we should be able to use the downstairs meeting room there, which will hold more people, and we'll let the residents near the project know about the meeting.
Great. Okay, for the next meeting, Rosalie, can we put on there regarding the Salvi mix that we talked about?
Oh, you mean a report or?
Yeah, we need a report on Salvi mix.
Well, we can just mention it now under announcements that the latest news with them, of course, they withdrew their application to create the nightclub at their location, and recently, maybe a month ago, we learned that their site was raided by LAPD. Apparently, narcotics or vice had been watching or had received a tip-off that they were operating illegal gambling at the location. So they were raided. Some of us in driving by since then, some days it looks like the restaurant's still open, and other days it seems to be closed, but apparently they'll just be cited for the illegal gambling.
Are there any other announcements? Okay, our next meeting is April 27th at 6:30 p.m.
Oh,
It is-
yeah, one other thing on the proposed apartments on the southwest corner of Figueroa and Alondra,
Mhm.
that they received approval from the city to build them. I think there's 36. I think it's at least a 3-story building. Finally, when you look at that address on building and safety, it looks like they are moving forward with getting permits for construction.
Oh, good. They've been, it's been what, 3 years that they've been doing this?
Oh, they got permission probably at least 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay. All right, back to item number 9. Our next meeting will be April 27th at 6:30, and it will be an in-person meeting at 555 West Redondo Beach Boulevard in room 185. I thank everyone for attending the meeting, and the meeting is now adjourned at 7:15. Thank you. Enjoy your evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.